Welcome back to Esoteric Researcher 666 YouTube channel. We're going to talk about kind of how to get from armchair to practitioner here. Kind of take your first stabs at the more flashy aspect of occult magic. And, you probably have researched some grimoires, watched a lot of YouTube, maybe tried some orations from the Ars Notoria, and you kind of see understand the manifestation aspect or the intention into reality aspect. I think that this next step is one that plays into my previous video. It's kind of taking your trial by fire when you're really taking things to the next level and trying to do some evocations or invocations. And I can tell you how to do that, and obviously, there is a scientific aspect or explanation to some of the things that we'll talk about, and but of course there is that mystical aspect. So let's get into it just really quickly here, and I can kind of go off after I explain the original setup to practice. And so you're gonna have a black mirror, okay? A black mirror, a scrying mirror that the TikTok witches use, or in my opinion, I like to use an obsidian orb. John D was more into orbs, where Lesser Key of Solomon stuff use the circular black mirror within a triangle surrounded by the archangel names, etc. Really, just to do this initial practice, get any sort of black mirror. Go into a dark room with 2 candles, put a candle on both sides of the black mirror and light it. And then you're going to get into a meditative state and just look into the black mirror. You're going to notice that your reflection is changing because of the flickering of the light, because your amygdala in your brain is trying to fill in facial recognition patterns that are not there because of the lighting situation. This is the scientific explanation, and it really is a thing. Your brain is actually searching for those patterns. It's vital to your social nature as a human, and your ability to use facial recognition and things like that. So this is where kind of orb pondering is a real thing. So you'll notice that the face keeps changing. If you get into this meditative state and kind of look past the orb in a sense, you will notice your reflection actually disappears completely. It sounds kind of crazy, but this is actually good. If you go try it without any ritual involved, it's just your face will kind of disappear in the reflection based on your meditative state and kind of the unfocusing of the eyes and the amygdala not tracking the facial patterns, etc. Now, this is kind of the state that you can have sort of these manifestations of spirits occur during ritual practice. And I think there's some other aspects involved that make it into the more mystical sense, and where you can get some sort of divination from. So if you're looking at, we talked about sacred geometry, and we're looking at now the sigils or the symbols involved in evoking spirits, whether it's John D or the Heptameron evoking some sort of angel with the angel sigils, or you're looking at the Ars Goetia and you're invoking some demon like Paimon or Bune. They all have these symbols attached to them. And during ceremonial magic, there's a lot of preparation that involves, incense and essential oils and incantations, and all of these olfactory and utilizing of the human senses during this time play into, I believe, the effect that you'll have on your scrying when you do this when you make that facial recognition pattern kind of change in that dark room while you're looking into the orb or the mirror. I think this is kind of the practice that is the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious worlds, the third dimension and the astral dimension. So we can see in sacred geometry, like basically this world operates on numbers, like everything can be coded to a digit, while in the astral everything is more symbolic in that collective unconscious where people think these spirits live. And ceremonial magic is that gate. It's utilizing these senses and sigils and just very defined experience of your senses, and then you go into that meditative state. The amygdala has the facial pattern dissolve, and I will say, it's up to you to believe whether you're going to take the psychological explanation that Aleister Crowley took at the later stages of his life, that it's just like some subconscious thing that you're unlocking that's in explained scientifically, or you're going to take that mystical sense that a lot of occultists prominently who hold that belief, like Dr. Stephen Skinner or Jake Stratton Kent, might take the opposite side and say, of course, it's a mystical entity that you're reaching. But careful with your orb pondering. I'll say you definitely want to know what you're going into. You recognize that it's that kind of trial by fire if you're hopping into it, and recognize that the universe might not have everything in the cards that you're looking for at the moment. You can definitely have negative experiences. You can have negative effects that will come out of into your life if you aren't. I believe, at least, if you're not doing it properly or asking for the right things to the right spirits, etc. You will definitely notice, in my opinion, some sort of visual divination while scrying if you're doing these techniques, and especially if you're have already practiced kind of a meditative state of just kind of reaching more into it's hard to explain, but just kind of detaching yourself from the physical state. So I guess that really is just the practice of meditation. But once you understand that, and then you can kind of implement it into scrying in that element of a ceremonial magical practice, you will, in my opinion, undeniably have your answer to whether there's kind of this flashier aspect, and why some people that you'll see on YouTube or write books, and they're very convinced or interested in the mystical experience that happens out of this. So again, that's just a very, I don't know if it's brief, but it's a practical description, and I won't get into my complete opinions on it, but yeah, I mean, if you think you're ready to go experience some of this stuff, and you're at a point in your life, just make sure you're not going into it with like a devil may care attitude. Avoid the pun there, but yeah, just be aware of these things and kind of how it works on your mental, and then you can kind of take what you want from it. If you're really feeling like it was quite the mystical experience with whatever you saw in the orb there, after utilizing all the incense and the specific candles and all that stuff, then consider whether you want to continue using it if you see the benefits that you saw in your life afterwards. Just to give you an example of how this kind of ceremonial practice and ritual bridges these senses and geometry into the astral, is like, if you look at a ritual to a Goetia spirit, Bune, for instance, you will want your 2 candles to be green instead of just whatever other candles you had flanking your scrying mirror. And then you're going to want, sandalwood incense specifically. You're going to want essential oils of mint and cinnamon. You're going to have a specific N, which is kind of just like a oration or something you're going to be calling out with. And all these factors, I believe, just play into that subconscious unlocking of when you go and scry and have your amygdala kind of dissolve your reflection, And, this is what was written in the Lesser Key of Solomon in a way. And if you look into Golden Dawn and some of the videos that are out there of people kind of trying to explain this, it, it's it's something you'll have to see for yourself. Anyway, thanks for listening, and good luck out there to all the magicians, and please subscribe.